Hello, hello. Welcome to the 25th episode of the Veggies Abroad Vegan Travel Podcast with the Chief Veggie Pusher, myself, Rebecca Gade Sawicki. Some of you may already be familiar with Veggies Abroad, but for those of you who aren't, we're a full-service vegan travel company that offers custom planning services, small group trips, a helpful blog chock full of just about everything a vegan or veg-curious traveler could possibly need, and this podcast. With this podcast, I hope to bring you guys the inside scoop on what vegan, vegan-friendly, and eco-friendly businesses are doing in the wide world of travel. I absolutely loved today's episode. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy all of the episodes, but this conversation hit so many important points about things that we need to keep in mind as travelers. It's not just about animal welfare, but also the impacts on individuals, communities, as well as our important role of promoting change and not writing somewhere off because it's not perfect just yet. Before we jump into the interview, I want to spend a little more time talking about the importance of promoting change. I'm going to guess that most of you listening want businesses and organizations to operate at their absolute best, which is great. But at the same time, we always have to recognize that everyone has to start somewhere. And it's our job as consumers and travelers to support that to keep it going. I'll admit this point hit particularly close to home because as a small business owner in an industry that's problematic to say the least, it can feel like an Olympic event to always operate at 110% and weed out all of the crap from the good. There have actually been a couple of times that I've received some rather obnoxious messages accusing me of greenwashing or that I'm probably not even vegan. And the people were probably have no idea about anything that I do or anything about me. While all business owners must find a way to cope with the noise and keep going forward, it can feel debilitating at times. You begin to wonder, why do we even put in so much effort in the first place if people aren't going to be supportive or just pick everything apart? As a consumer, it's important to take a breather before having a knee-jerk reaction to something. Ask questions and remember that change takes time and it doesn't happen in a vacuum. This episode is also airing on the heels of a very important election here in the US. If you haven't voted yet, go do it right this minute, or at least before November 5th. You know, one of the amazing things about travel it is that it gives you the opportunity to really appreciate the opportunities and rights that you have at home. I've long taken for granted my freedoms, freedom of speech, protest, religion, my rights and opportunities as a woman. I've never thought some of these very basic rights could be questioned. Yet, here we are. I won't belabor the point. We've all seen enough political ads to fill our lifetimes, but I'll say, if you think this will have no impact on your life, then maybe think about the lives of who it will. If this is a chance to speak up for what is morally and ethically right, something that Republicans have seemed to have forgotten. Well, now let's jump into today's fabulous conversation with the founder of Boon Lott's Animal Sanctuary, Katherine Connor. Katherine has been pioneering ethical elephant management methods for more than 20 years, internationally recognized as one of the world's leading authorities on captive elephant welfare. She has traveled extensively, sharing her knowledge and expertise. Let's chat with Katherine. Hi, Katherine. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely to talk with you.
And I'm so excited to finally get to chat with you as well. And I'm glad this worked out. Listeners won't realize, just from listening, that you are, I think, 13 hours ahead of me. So it's bright morning here, but it is nighttime for you. Actually, it would be technically past my bedtime. So I'm glad that you've stayed up to chat.
Yeah, it's the end of a very, very long day here, but it's a pleasure to talk. So I'm more than happy to do it.
Terrific. So let's start from the beginning. What inspired you to start Boon Lott's Sanctuary?
Well, when I was 21 years old, I had a premature midlife crisis and I gave up everything that was my life. So my career, my house, my fiance, and I just kind of decided that there was more to life than work and materialistic things, and there was more to me as a person. I knew I had more to give, and I wanted to give it, but I didn't know at the young age of 21, I didn't know how to do that. So I jumped on a plane and I traveled around Asia, desperate to find it, desperate to find the thing, but still not really realizing what it was going to be. And the reason why I cut all my ties in the UK was because I didn't want to have any excuses, because we are very prone to that as a species. Oh, I would love to do that, but... So I cut all the chains from around, So I cut all those chains from around my ankles and I flew. And I ended up coming to Thailand because I had always been obsessed with elephants, but I didn't really know anything about them, had never really been in the presence of one. And when I came to Thailand, back in those days, there was no Google search, there was no kind of Wi-Fi or internet. So I had my Lonely Planet, and I had highlighted and folded over all the pages of all the elephant sanctuaries that had been recommended. And I went to every single one. And every time I did, I was left feeling very confused and depressed, concerned, because I would look to one side and there would be dozens of loud, obnoxious, arrogant, inconsiderate human beings. And then I would look on my other side and there would be these shadows of what should have been elephants. They looked like elephants, but they weren't elephants as I had always imagined them to be. They were thin. They were swaying, which we now know is stereotypical behavior. They had benches on their backs. They were bleeding. And everything just felt so wrong. And I couldn't understand why I was the only person feeling this, hearing this, seeing this, smelling this. Depression has a smell. And I started to kind of think it was me. I started to think the problem was me, that I was weird, that I was strange, because nobody else seemed to have a problem with this. And then I went to an elephant hospital. I was very interested to go, and there was a baby elephant there. He was 2 months old. He had been born premature, and his mother had rejected him for the first 24 hours of life. So really the odds were against him, and he should have died. But he didn't, and so the Thai people christened him Boon Lott. And Boon Lott is Thai for lucky to survive or survivor. So he was 2 months old when I met him. And he got me. He grabbed me by the heart, the shoestrings, literally, and my soul. And he was it. He was the thing. And I don't think I found him. I think he found me. And gosh, it's a very long story, but basically I ended up volunteering at the elephant hospital. And I was there for about 2.5 years. And in those 2.5 years, Boon Lott became my son. He became my child. He was my entire world. And I spent every waking and sleeping moment with him. I would lie beside him every night, read Harry Potter to him, sing songs to him, massage his feet. He had an accident which left him suffering from paralysis. And so working together with the veterinarians, I helped design the world's first and only elephant wheelchair. I built him a hydrotherapy pool, and I would swim with him every day to keep his muscles, strong. And I did everything that a mother would do for their child if their human child was in that position. Now, Boon Lott went from strength to strength. He did stand unaided for about 5 to 6 hours a day, and he was teaching himself how to walk again, completely unaided. He would roll his trunk up and kind of lean on my shoulder and swing and lift up a back foot and pop it down again. And it was really incredible and such an honor to be a part of that life, really. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. He died when he was 2 years and 8 months old, and he actually died in my arms. And the very last thing I said to him before his heart gave out was that I was going to keep on fighting, that I was going to take his spirit and his strength, and I was going to keep it in my heart and use it to protect his family, meaning all of the captive and the wild elephants of the entire world. And I didn't really know how, but I just knew that he would guide me, and I knew that he would be with me every step of the way. So 2 years after his passing, I came back to Thailand, and I started building our sanctuary in honor of him. It's named after him. And every single life, whether it's an elephant, a human, a dog, a crocodile, a monkey, a tortoise, cats, rabbit. I mean, we have a bit of a menagerie here now. And every single life that we are able to help is a tribute to him.
That's really, really sweet. And so how long has the sanctuary been operating now, since Boon Lott's passing and you starting, from just you?
We have been up and running for 18 years now.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I can only imagine what thinking back now on your history has to be like. I have to guess that there were times when you thought this was never going to work.
Oh, of course. There have been times where I have felt completely and utterly alone, crazy. When I first started Bless, people would drive up here and laugh at me.
Oh my gosh.
Because, no one had done it. No one had said, hey, let's just walk out into the forest, sit on the ground, and watch elephants be elephants. No one had done it. And people would come up here and say, it's not going to work. That's crazy. Nobody wants to do that. And I would just smile and nod my head, and I'd be polite. And then I would think, I would do that. And I can't believe out of billions and billions of people, I'm the only person that would want to do that. There have to be other crazy people like me out there somewhere. And thankfully there are.
Oh my gosh. So because at that time, the elephant sanctuary, we'll put air quotes around that, was really just abuse. It was elephant riding. It was elephant exploitation in a myriad of ways.
Yes.
There wasn't a sanctuary quite like yours, right? Or wasn't known.
No, there was no facility that I traveled to in my early 20s that put the welfare and the well-being of the elephants first. It was all about the tourist experience. And in my opinion, that's not being a sanctuary.
Right. That goes against, I think, just the basis of the definition of sanctuary, of providing a refuge, of safety and all of that. That's it's a circus, really, by any other name. So today, how many elephants call Bless home?
Right now we have 11, but as of next month, it will be 12. We're just
That's
in the
exciting.
process. Yeah, we're just in the process of our next elephant rescue. So top secret information. But yes, it will be 12 very soon.
And where do you rescue these elephants from?
All around the country. When we first started Bless, we really only wanted to be a retirement home for the elephants that already existed in this community. When I moved here, there were about 30 ex-logging elephants, so elephants that worked in the timber trade here. This village had always had elephants, but with the logging ban that was put in place in 1989, that put thousands of elephants and the people, the guys that take care of them, mahouts, out of work. And so that's really when tourism with elephants started, and you started seeing elephants begging on the streets of Bangkok. That's when we had all the shows and the circuses and the riding with the bench on the back, and then, breeding. That's when breeding became really, really popular, because baby elephants are a huge crowd pleaser. They're so cute and they bring in the money. So forced breeding started to become very common practice. So the initial goal really was to be a retirement home for the elephants and the people in this community. However, very, very quickly, word spread, and we were traveling off to rescue elephants from Hua Hin down in the south, Pattaya, Phuket, Chiang Mai, Tak. So we really have rescued elephants from throughout the kingdom, really. And it's phenomenal, because I didn't ever think that one young British girl really could achieve anything like that. I just thought no one was ever going to know about us. We were just going to be a very off the beaten track, unknown retirement home. So it really is phenomenal that we have grown as much as we have, developed as much as we have, helped as many elephants and humans as we have, but yet we've still held tight to that original mission of being a true sanctuary.
Yeah, you deserve a huge round of applause. That's truly incredible. And so it started with just you and your passion, but today you do have support, right?
Yes. Yeah. It wasn't really just me. The community here have been involved from the very, very beginning. And one of the things that really sets Bless apart from other elephant venues is that we are a family here. Bless was created by a family of people who shared this passion for elephant welfare. And the people who helped me build Bless 18 years ago are still with me today.
Wow.
And they feel a sense of ownership. They're proud of this place. They have helped create this place. So it isn't just a 9-to-5 job for these people. This is their dream, their livelihood, their passion too. And now their children are coming in and working here as well. And so we've got that generational family handover kind of already in place, and it's very exciting. I'm very excited for the present moment, but I'm very excited for the future too.
Yeah, you've set up kind of a support system for the future and safety net. Really, safety net, I think, was what I was really getting at. What I can't imagine what the community response had been like 18 years ago with this 21-year-old girl, or what, you would have been 23 maybe at that time.
Yeah.
But you were young, very young girl coming in saying, I want to make a difference. Did the community think you were crazy?
The local community here wrapped me up and took me into their homes, welcomed me in, treated me like a daughter, a sister, a niece, a grandchild. And honestly, I had never experienced such kindness until I came to this village here in Sukhothai. And it is because of that kindness that I am eternally indebted to this community. And I will always do what I can to provide for the people here, support them, take care of them in any way I can, because without them, Bless would never have come to fruition. This really was a community effort. And, back then, I was the first white person. I was the first foreign person that a lot of people in this community had ever seen. So, yeah, I think it's right to kind of assume that they would be like, oh, get her out of here. We don't want any crazy white girl here. But they didn't. I didn't feel any of that. I very much felt accepted and loved. And I still feel that today. I feel very lucky to be living where I am right now.
Wow, that is incredible. And did the community feel similarly to you, that they were looking for a way to protect these elephants instead of putting them maybe in situations and putting themselves in situations that could be dangerous?
Yeah, definitely. The mahouts that own their elephants here in this community have come to me over and over again throughout the years, wanting their elephants to come here. And there really is a sense of, the elephants are their heritage. They've played such an important part in Thailand's history. And this whole tourism industry really was so alien and frightening to the people in this community. And they didn't want to have to move away from their families and go to the cities where tourism was rampant, Chiang Mai, Pattaya. They didn't want to move away from their families. They didn't want to have to train their elephants to perform. They didn't want to breed their elephants, but they didn't want to give their elephants up either. So they really felt very trapped and very stuck and didn't know what to do. And the creation of Bless really gave this community a lifeline and a way to stay with their elephants, stay with their families, and be employed to be doing a job that they know, they love. And, I'm very, very proud of that we've really been able to provide for the people in this community as well as the elephants.
Yeah, because that's kind of another side of the story in this industry, is that there's a human impact, and that people are often, I think it's very easy to point fingers and say, how could you do X, Y, or Z to any animal? But at the same time, some of these people get put into these situations and they don't have anywhere to turn. They might not have the education or the wherewithal or the transportation. It could become a very basic thing that they can't get themselves out of it. And so when you put someone in a situation where it's either survival or do this, they're going to pick survival.
Absolutely.
So being able to give them something is really important, and to make it matter, I think is really important as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I do always ask people to take a minute, when you do go into these camps and you do witness the mahouts being aggressive, maybe violent with the elephants. I kind of talk to people about the fact that what we should be thinking about is not just elephant welfare. It's the welfare of those mahouts as well. Because I think what a lot of people don't realize is those mahouts have nothing. A lot of them are not paid salaries. They purely live on commission received from the amount of rides that those elephants give. And, when you think that most of those guys have got 2 young children at home, they're trying to provide for their families. They're not getting paid any money. They're frustrated. They haven't been provided with accommodation. They have no social security. They have no pension scheme. They really have nothing. Those mahouts are just as exploited as those elephants. And then you can kind of understand why they turn to maybe alcoholism or violence. It's a coping mechanism. They're
Absolutely.
not bad people. It's like you said, they've gone into survival mode themselves, and they can't see a way out. And so I do always ask people, just take a minute before you react, before you start shouting and pointing your finger. Take a minute and think about how hard that man's life is. You know, if he's, no one wants to be hitting an elephant.
Right.
You know, they don't want to be whacking these animals. They don't. So what is wrong in that person's life? How can we help that person to help him get through that coping mechanism? And by doing that, we in turn help the elephant.
Hey there, fantastic listeners. Let's hit pause on this episode for a thrilling announcement, a golden ticket to Globetrot with Veggies Abroad. Veggies Abroad isn't just your go-to for vegan guides and trip planning tips. It's your passport to extraordinary small group journeys, carefully crafted by the ultimate veggie pusher and your favorite podcast host, me, Rebecca Gade Sawicki. I've spent countless hours researching the best vegan hotels, food, and experiences, and now I'm bringing those experiences directly to you. Join me and my newfound veggie pals on escapades to exotic and exciting destinations around the world, whether it's trekking through the Thai jungle to witness elephants in their natural habitat or exploring Iceland's famous ring road. Our adventures are nothing short of spectacular, and guess what? Those aren't the only exciting trips awaiting you. So what are you waiting for? Cruise on over to veggiesabroad.com pronto. Well, how about after this episode is over to explore our dazzling lineup of tours and secure your spot today. Absolutely. It's a full circle kind of situation. You bring it all back together. So I'm sure you see this a lot. I see this a lot in the travel industry, that places like to put ethical in their marketing or eco. And there's no real, there's not an organization that's overseeing the ethical and eco uses of those words. So when you're saying you're operating ethically, what does that mean, really?
To me, being an ethical elephant facility means that you're putting safety and well-being first of the elephants, not of the tourists. For example, here at Blas, people arrive and the first thing they are told is there's no organized activities here. We don't know what our day is going to involve. We don't know how the day is going to unfold. And there's one reason for that, because we live on elephant time. We let them lead us. So we could be out in the forest following the elephants for 5 hours, 6 hours a day. We don't know. You know, there's no organized feeding time. There's no bathing time. There's no walking time. Because elephants don't naturally live like that. And to be very honest, neither do we.
Right.
Right? So to me, being ethical is humans taking a step back and allowing those elephants to feel safe enough to be themselves. We should never be putting those elephants in a situation where they feel the need to lash out or start stereotyping. We need to give these animals space and peace and allow them to show us their true colors. Because I tell you, those true colors are some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Watching elephants be elephants is just inspirational, really. I don't think there are enough words for it.
And I have to imagine that operating in this way comes with a ton of different challenges. What are some of the biggest ones that you face to be able to continue to do this in the best way possible?
I think that it's frustrating sometimes when there are maybe other elephant venues that have a few elephants and they just stick them out in a field and that's it. And then they label themselves as ethical, eco-friendly, a sanctuary. And the truth of it is that running a sanctuary is really, really hard work. There is a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And it's an investment. And I don't know if I'm articulating that very well. It's not just sticking elephants out in a field and letting them do what they want. You know, elephants get injuries, they get sick, and you need to ensure that you can safely manage situations like that. And in order to do that, you need to condition your elephants every single day. And I've been doing this for 20 years with our elephants, you know, conditioning them to present their feet, to hold out their ear for a blood draw, to present the side of their body in case they have an injury or a wound somewhere that we need to treat, you know, and that takes years to get an elephant able to present all 4 feet for you. To do that compassionately, it can take years to build up that trust. And we've been doing that, like I say, for 20 years. We are the only facility in Thailand that does that. And it can be frustrating for me sometimes when I see other venues going against that. I don't know if I'm articulating that very well, but
no, I think, that makes sense. When you're trying to do the right thing and you see other people saying that they are, but not necessarily doing it. And I think it's hard too on a consumer level to pick that apart, which I think is a good lead into this question is, as a tourist, are there, red flags that you share with people of things that they should look out for to kind of, be able to decide, yes, they are operating in the best way possible, or no, they're just saying this to get your money?
Well, I do. I feel really, really very sad for tourists now coming to Thailand, because the internet is a dangerous tool. You know, social media, you can put anything you like on your social media, and it's very hard for people to know if it's real or fake. And the only way you can really find out is if you go and you see it with your own eyes. So I think if you get a gut feeling, that's your red flag. If you're reading something online and it just doesn't sit right with you, that's your red flag. I do think it's really important to go and see and learn, educate yourself. Don't go on everybody else's opinions. I do think if you're going to be a true advocate, you need to educate yourself. You need to have those experiences yourself.
And I think too, I always encourage people to look at what other people are posting and their photos, because that can be very telling that on the website and maybe their own social media, they present one picture of happiness, but then people are posting other photos that are much different than what the description is. And, those two things, like that's a huge red flag that what you're expecting isn't actually reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important to ask questions.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about asking questions.
Yeah.
Like, this is the only way to hold people accountable. Ask them, why is this happening? Why don't you do X, Y, or Z? Don't just assume that someone or that something is happening in a way that you think. Ask.
Always.
Do you think that the elephant tourism industry is becoming more ethical overall, or does it still have just a long ways to go?
I think that tourism in Thailand with elephants has come on leaps and bounds in the last, I would say, 12 years. And it's been very, very exciting to see that change happen. I just had 2 guests arrive this evening, and they had traveled here to Blas. They had stayed with us 14 years ago. And we were talking over dinner, and I said, so big changes. What have you noticed so far? And they said, well, we flew into Bangkok And there were no giant posters of tourists riding elephants. There was no promoting of elephant riding. And that made us feel really good about coming back to Thailand. So I think that change is happening. The right changes are happening. And I also want to say that I think it is really important to support other venues that are trying. Even if you get like a dodgy feeling, if you're not 100% sure, if they're trying, I think it is really important to go and support them and help them. You know, if we boycott every facility that we don't feel good about, then the people who run these venues are never going to know about the changes that we want to see. We have to literally be the change that we want to see.
Yes.
It's a cliche, but it's true. So we do have to go to these venues and kind of say, okay, no, I don't want to ride the elephant. Can I just walk today? Can I just walk? And I'll pay you the same amount of money to just walk. And then that gets these venues thinking, okay, maybe we should stop riding. You know, I do think it's important to be that voice, be that change.
Yeah, absolutely. If so much change in this world happens because there's demand for it. And if we don't demand it, then why would anyone change? Why would there be a thought that something else needs to be different?
Yeah.
That's incredibly powerful. I agree. The laws have changed a little bit in Thailand as well, right? Is riding illegal, or there are certain parameters on it?
Riding is not illegal here in Thailand yet. It was recently banned in India. There are stricter welfare laws coming into place that have just kind of been initiated this year. You know, Thailand does great by their elephants in comparison to other Asian countries. The Thai government has been pioneering a microchipping program for over 20 years now. And the reason why they started that was to stop the illegal smuggling of baby elephants across the borders. So what that means is that, it's somewhere in the 90s, maybe 95% of captive elephants here in Thailand have a microchip, have a digital medical record, and any veterinarian can go to any elephant, scan their chip, and get a digital history of that individual. And that's pretty groundbreaking. The Thai government also provides free veterinarian care to every single elephant in this country.
Wow.
No other country does that. Right. And I think it is really important for tourists to understand that. You know, I get quite upset when tourists come here and they get angry and they start kind of throwing out these hurtful blanket statements about how Thailand treats their elephants terribly. Well, they don't. And like we were just saying, you know, if there wasn't a demand for elephant riding or elephant shows, then they wouldn't be providing this in the first place. So it would be great if every tourist coming to Thailand just took a couple of minutes to think about how much they're contributing to that situation, because they are. Everyone who purchases a ticket, everyone who rides an elephant is contributing to the situation that they don't want.
Right. I agree. And I think people have to realize that demand almost completely comes from tourists. It's not the local people that are going to circuses or riding elephants. They have plenty of other things to do in their daily lives, and they live around these beings. So it's not as a unique thing as someone coming from North America to see an elephant. And I was having this conversation recently with someone about, you know, avoiding certain destinations and certain activities and things. And I think we've come to a point too in tourism where we have to have an honest conversation of, if you want to do something, we need to be very conscious in the way in which we're doing it. And maybe certain things we don't do. And we just have to be okay with it, because the world, the creatures within it, can't necessarily support all of the FOMO that all of us have. Like, we have to, you kind of get over it. And I think that goes back to your point of like social media ruining things. And I couldn't agree more. If one more person comes to me with a photo of, I want to do this, I think I might just leave.
Yes. We live in a very selfie Instagram society now, and it's weird.
It is. Yes. Everything has a filter. Yes. Yeah. What you see online is not what reality is all of the time. And so do you have any, so aside from rescuing another elephant coming up here soon, are there other upcoming projects or initiatives that you're excited and want to share?
Next year, we are going to be focusing on land expansion.
Wow.
The number one thing, if you are going to have elephants, the number one thing you must have is space. And so currently here at Bless, we currently have 500 acres for 11 elephants, which is pretty incredible. But it's not good enough. And this is the other thing that I think makes a true sanctuary, is that you're always striving for better. You're always wanting more. You're always wanting to do better. You know, a true sanctuary never says, we're done. We're the best. Yeah. We don't need to do anything more. We're already there. We're 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to do better every single day for the animals in our care. Bless is my apology to these animals. It's me standing up on behalf of my species, apologizing to them for everything that we have done to them for the 30, 40, 50 years that they've been on this planet. And so next year, we're really concentrating on expanding and conserving more and more forest for the elephants. There is quite a big problem with deforestation in this local area. And we really need to start prioritizing fighting against that. This year, we've been working on a lot of restoration work. COVID was very cruel to us. We've also experienced extreme weather this year. 2 of my main buildings fell to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
So we've been doing a lot of building work this year. That should be done by the end of the year so that we can really concentrate on our forest conservation projects next year.
That's incredible. And so on a daily basis, do the elephants just go out with their mahouts and kind of do whatever the heck they want?
Yeah, basically. Our mahouts here are more like shepherds. So they're just there by the elephant's side, guiding them, keeping them on our property, keeping them away from neighboring land, which is cultivated. You know, some of the elephants that come to us, they have been so micromanaged that you can walk them out into the forest. You can have them surrounded by all this natural fodder, and they won't touch it until the mahout gives them permission to. Oh, wow. So our mahouts here are so skilled at helping elephants recover from micromanagement and neglect and every kind of cruelty that they're exposed to, really. So the mahouts here observe the elephants, and they all give me detailed reports of what the elephants have eaten, how many times they've pooped, what their poop is like. Yeah, it's interesting going through my phone, the chaps.
I can only imagine.
So,
I have also heard from other sanctuaries that sometimes the Mahouts kind of have to teach them to be elephants again, and they haven't really understood how they kind of use dirt to, protect themselves, or, bathing themselves, or like foraging for food, which I thought was incredible. It's really hard to, think about that as an elephant that's been in captivity, that you don't know how to be an elephant.
they really, they don't. They really don't, and when you go to these camps where they do the bathing and the feeding, the bathing is really damaging to those elephants. You're scrubbing them down every day, and that is stripping the skin of the oil that they need. It's drying out their skin. And mud and dirt and dust and leaves and twigs, when elephants throw that over their bodies, that's self-care. They're protecting their skin from sun damage. They're protecting themselves from fly bites. And when they have been forbidden to throw dirt on themselves, to take care of themselves for most of their lives, because tourists don't want to be near a dirty elephant.
Which is crazy.
Right?
It's an elephant.
Right. It is the saddest thing when they come here, and that they kind of put their toes in a muddy puddle, and then they just stand and they kind of look around, waiting for someone to tell them to not do it.
Wow.
But then it's incredible watching the realization kind of come over the elephant when they're like, okay, so I've been standing here for a minute or two and no one's told me to move or stop. Okay, I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to throw dirt on my back. I'm going to do this. And just watching them do it and do it again for half an hour, however long they want to. Watching that elephant become an elephant, a true elephant again, is just phenomenal. It's sad. It's always tinged with sadness.
Sure.
That was taken away from them in the first place. But it is an honor to be able to give it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had elephants that have kind of struggled with adapting to elephant life and never really kind of got there?
No, they've all got there.
That's amazing. So if visitors want to come and see your property and check out your programs, how can they do that?
So all the information that people need can be found on our website. We do have to book in advance. We do not do day tours. We do not do half day or day trips. The minimum length of stay we offer is 2 nights, because we want people to really immerse themselves in the local culture here. And you can't do that in a day. So all bookings are made in advance via email. People can follow us on Instagram or Facebook and contact us there. And please do come and visit, because our goal is to be self-sustaining, and we can only do that with the support of people coming to join us. So, everybody is welcome, and we can't wait really to welcome everybody.
And with if someone did want to stay a couple nights or a week, do they stay on property or nearby?
So we're always thinking of creative ways to support the local community, and one of the ways we do that is we have our guests stay in guest houses in the local village.
And the local village is Sukhothai, right?
So our village is called Banduk. Sukhothai is our province. Banduk is our village.
Perfect. And so if there are listeners that love what you're doing, but they can't make their way over to Thailand, are there other ways that they can support your work?
Yes, you can adopt one of our beautiful elephants. All their stories are on our website, and I would make a large cup of tea or coffee or grab a glass of wine and sit down and read through them, because every single elephant here has such an inspirational story, and they're worth reading. It's worth telling their stories. So you can adopt an elephant here, or you can set up a monthly contribution as well. It all really does make a difference here.
That is perfect. Katherine, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story about Bless and all of the incredible work you're doing. I look forward to visiting one day.
I hope so. Well, thank you for this opportunity. It's been a great experience.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a review. If you'd also like to learn more about upcoming Veggies Abroad tours or get additional travel help, visit veggiesabroad.com and also join our newsletter. It's the best way to stay up to date with loads of new content, like where to find gorgeous vegan hotels, what to eat in cities around the world, trip planning tips, and so much more. Well, that's all I've got for now. Until next time.